Alright guys, this should be our last video of today. This is your arc length video. So the length of an arc is a portion of the circumference. So the formula for arc length, which you've already written down, is cursive L equals x times c all over 360. X stands for the degree measure of the arc. C is the circumference of the circle. So you're going to have to find those things in order to help you out. So taking a look at number 30, they tell us that EB is 15. So from E to B is 15 centimeters. And so it's important for you guys to think, okay, is that a radius or is that a diameter? And so if it goes from the center to the circle, to the edge of the circle, that means that your radius equals 15 centimeters. So we're given the radius, so that's important. What it wants us to find is the length of arc CD. So this is the arc that we want. It's from C to D. We want to know the length of it, not the measure, the length. So the measure is going to be in degrees, but the length is going to be in centimeters or feet or inches or miles or whatever it is. It's going to have a linear measurement. So that's what we're going to have to do. So if we're going to find the length of arc CD, and I'm just going to write it with the cursive L and then arc CD next to it, my formula is x. So x is the degree measure of the arc. So if this is the arc, I don't know how much it is. So I'm going to have to solve for it. So in order for me to solve for x, which is the measure of this arc, I've got to use some of my other rules. So I know that this angle is 68, and this is the one I'm looking for. Well, together they make a line, so they're gonna add up to 180. So we have to do 180 minus 68, and that is 112. So when we substitute that in, you're gonna have 112 times, well, we also have to find the circumference of the circle. And so all we're given right now is the radius. So we're gonna use the fact that circumference equals 2 pi r. And so then you're going to substitute 15 for r, so 2 pi times 15. I wonder if you guys can see that. I guess it's not the worst case scenario, but it's not great. And when you multiply that, so 2 times pi times 15, and if you're just using your calculators, just use your calculators, or if you use 3.14. I can't remember what I used earlier, but I got 94.25. So that was my circumference. So I plugged that in there, 94.25. So this is the degree measure, this is the circumference, and you divide by 360. So then you just type that into a calculator, and you'll get that the length of arc CD is roughly 29.32 centimeters. We don't need to have squared or cubed because we're not using area or volume. We're just finding the length of that information. So we had to find the degree measure, we had to find the circumference, and plug them into the formula. Let's take a look at one more of these, see if there's anything else that might be tricky. All right, let's look at 33. How about that one? So on this one, they tell us that JH is 21. So from J to H, that whole distance across is 21. Well, that means that your diameter, this would be the diameter on this one. So the two things we need the arc measure, and we need the circumference. So I'm going to use the diameter in order to find the circumference. And when I know the diameter, I can use pi times diameter to find the circumference. So all I have to do is pi times 21, and that's 65.27, or I'm sorry, 0.97. So that's the circumference. And then I need the degree of the angle. So, or I'm sorry, of the arc. So KJG, so K through J all the way around to G. So it's this whole thing that we're finding the length of. It's almost 360 degrees, but it's not. So what I'm going to use is the fact that since this is 85, so this is 85, which means that together these have to equal 85. So first off, I'm going to do 85 minus 59. And when you do that, you get 26, which means that this guy right here is 26 degrees, which is great. But now we have to take 360 and subtract 26, because we don't just want from K to G, we want the opposite direction. So we're going to have to do 360 minus 26, and when you do that, I didn't do that right. Let's see what we get. 4, 3, so we have 334 degrees. So this is what our x is going to be. So x equals 334, and c equals 65.97. So now we're ready to plug those into the formula. So the length of KJG is going to be 334 times 65.97, all divided by 360. Sorry, KJG. So then we multiply that and divide it, and you probably haven't been able to see all that, and you get an answer. And I did this wrong the first time, so now I've got to find a calculator. Hold that thought. Mercy, it's 61.21. Sorry about that. So all you have to do is then multiply those and divide by 360. So there you have it. Sorry about that for taking so long. But that's the gist of finding arc length. So you have to find the degree of the arc and the circumference. Plug them into the formula. All right. I will, the next file that you should see has the answers to these, but it's just the answers. So you won't necessarily know how to get it unless you watch these. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you when I get back.